I want to help you get started on the assignment here in Module 7 of class. So if we go to assignments and go down to Module 7 and look at our unit mapping. If you have taken ECE 107, Child Play and Games, or ECE 102, Principles of Early Childhood this semester, not previous semesters, but this current semester, we're doing concept maps in those classes now that very much mirror this kind of mapping that we're going to do. Our textbook really pushes us to follow the lead of children, very much to an extreme. And I very much realize that that's hard for us to get our minds wrapped around, and that's hard for planning purposes, and a lot of programs will not allow you to fully function that way. It also doesn't mean that you have to follow the interest of children always in that moment. There is a way you can follow the interest of children even within your current curriculum plans. But there is value in us walking through this process in a more directed way, in trying to plan a larger chunk of time and activities for children. And so that's what we're going to do here in Module 7. So here's our unit plan. You will then create a detailed lesson plan, same lesson plan template that you've used previously, and so hopefully that will be helpful. So if we go here to our unit mapping and we open up that map, you're going to see here some boxes that you're going to need to complete, as well as identify some standards. You'll notice this is the same. We are very much trying to get very consistent from class to class in how we prep in planning units and walking through certain steps to help make that a uniform process for you, and also applicable to different curriculum programs and expectations that you have within your current work situations. So children are excited about or interested in. It's November. The weather is changing. We're getting ready for a holiday season, no matter what holidays your children are celebrating. And I don't know about you, but I'm hearing a lot of discussion about the white stuff, the snow. And so I would say right now that the children in my world are very much excited and interested in snow, interested in basketball, that's going on. They're interested in their music programs that they're preparing for the holiday season. And so I'm going to list all three of those, even though they're all very different. You know, this isn't, not every box has to necessarily coincide. At the very beginning here, I want you to actually just, get it all out there. Think about your different options and explore them. And then as you get further down and you start getting into ideas for parents, possible field trips, that's where I should see a narrowing down and a consistency in your selection of your theme. Ideas from parents and families. It might be very skill-based. There's going to be a lot of parents concerned at this point about their children writing their names or potty training and dressing and independence. There's a lot of school prep kind of emphasis. We need to recognize that. That doesn't mean that needs to drive what we do, but we need to recognize those concerns and be able to talk to parents about how we're preparing their children for school. And so I'm going to put here, preparing children for the next year of kindergarten. Should they be second-year preschoolers? Level of independence. Writing their name, goodness sakes, writing their name. And I think also following directions, behaving. I think those are generically important ideas for families that are always in their mind and concerned. New challenges to support. So think about what's going on in the classroom that children are struggling with. Maybe it is getting joining in play groups. So both inviting each other to join others, for others to join the groups, and how children, they themselves join groups that are already formed. Friendships are always very important. And I also think expanding the child's view of the world. So they know their environment and their culture, but helping them see that there's other ways of doing things, recognizing differences and diversity and valuing that. I think that's always an important thing. Ideas to revisit. You know, you're halfway through a school year. This is often a good time to revisit expectations, emotions, some of the beginning of the year activities. Ideas for parents and families. You know, this is that building community stuff from your chapter 2, creating a nourishing classroom environment. So involve children in welcoming families. So changing to a winter theme welcome for each morning. I think that would be an important aspect to include. Uniqueness, I think, involving families in sharing their own celebrations. We all celebrate differently. We all have different traditions within our family, even if we're celebrating the same holiday. And so I think considering ways in which you can invite families to share their experiences and their traditions is a really fun way for young children to develop a value of diversity, to recognize that there's more than one way to do something, and honoring that, and creating a special celebration in the classroom for that. An activity really just goes so far for building this rapport with children and this inner value of others and what they do. Ideas for volunteers this crazy season, I think, is reading and playing new games with the children to introduce rules and more complex games. 3 possible field trips. Well, I'm going to go with snow up here. This is what I'm going to go with. And so one possible field trip will be the county roads department or state. If you have a DDOT, a Kansas department, or I guess that's KDOT, if you have a Kansas Department of Transportation near you, could you go look at a snow plow, a salt machine? And what that does, I think that could be great fun. Related to snow, water precipitation, a weather station. That could be another really fun place to visit with children related to this exploration of snow. And if you have a high school or a community college near you, maybe a science lab, and plan some special experiments and work with a science instructor to create some exciting experiments or activities within a lab with real equipment. Just short, sweet activities that really give kids an exposure to what a scientist might really do and what investigations they might carry out with weather and snow and cold and temperature and water and the states of water. So things as simple as solid, liquid, and gas. 5 possible read alouds. So I'm going to go to one of my favorite websites. I'm going to go to Amazon. One of my favorite pictureless books is The Snowman. This guy right here. Actually, this is the movie, but I actually want to just go to the book. It's a great story. It's pictureless and, I'm sorry, wordless. And so it really creates an opportunity where children can read the story to each other and to you and engage in that. It's one of my favorites. And then I like to scroll down here and look at other books to kind of get my wheels turning. I'm going to maybe, and I'm going to try and think of different books that I could use with children that might be different than what they normally have read. The Snowy Day is another of my favorites by Ezra Jack Keats. And so I'm going to put The Snowman by Briggs, The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats. I'm going to look for some nonfiction. I'm actually going to click here. See if I no. Click on that one. I'm thinking of one my son and I read this year. Now here's a science one. The Snow is Falling. It's a good start. We're going to put that one down for now. Snow is Falling by Branley. So I'm looking for a variety of fiction and nonfiction. Oh, I can see this gets into animals. That would take me a different, a reindeer nonfiction book. Really offers something different. Ooh, published by the Smithsonian. Curious About Snow, and look how it's getting into the detail of snowflakes. Curious About Snow. By Shaw. So you see how I'm working through this. And then this other one, really love this one. Snowflakes by Bentley. Snowflake Bentley. And actually, looky here, the Snowflakes in Photography is actually photographs that he did. It's his book that he published. It is a phenomenal book. Phenomenal book. So you can put more than 5 should you find them. I hope you're going to create a plan that is useful to you, and that's by Martin. Okay, so simple enough. Open-ended materials to use. I'm going to do ice, water, beakers. I'm going to use paints. I'm going to change that. Watercolors. Hands, eyedroppers, food coloring. And I'm going to keep adding to this list of the open-ended materials. Oh, I'm going to use variety of clothing for different seasons. Activities to introduce. I'm going to do an experiment of ice, water, gas. And we're going to do cutting snowflakes. So over here we're going to do paper, scissors, by watercolors is where I'll add that. Paper, scissors. Oh, clouds. We're going to do, it's a great activity on clouds and precipitation with food coloring. And actually, if you come over here and we go to the Allen Pinterest page, we click on E.C. at Allen, scroll down to science. Let's see. New. There we go. And the great activity, I don't know if you've ever seen, of a shading cream, and you put the water, the food coloring in it, and it sifts through. Walking water is another great activity to do. Where are we? Oh, making the ice crystals. You could do that with borax if you've ever done that. That's a really fun activity to do, of course. It's a really fun one. I've got another link to that as well. We'll find it here. There's another walking water activity that's more life science. Okay, so here I'll do this. Shading cream cloud science. See if that pulls it up. Yep, here we go. Kid cloud experiment. There you are. And you get to actually see it come through and then sift through. And so it's a nice fun activity for kids on working with clouds and type of clouds. Looky here, you can make a picture of clouds using glue and shaving cream. So there's all sorts of different activities that we can do. If I were to take one of these books, like say The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats, I guarantee if you type in the title of a well-known book, you will find some wonderful activities, creating sequencing cards to creating pictures to go with the story. Please do not give me worksheets. We do not want to see worksheets. We want to see activities that the children are doing. You can cut out people and they can put themselves, you can put their face on there and they make snow angel pictures. What a fun idea. Oh, looky here, playing on the table with sensory. Look at these units. Oh, there's the crystal with pipe cleaner and borax is how you do that. It's a really fun experiment for kids to watch. You can see how they're doing different activities and integrating different concepts. So use Pinterest, use your Google. Think about activities and actions, not rote skills. Think about retelling, things like this to retell the mitten. How phenomenal is that? That's a perfect example of reading a story and giving kids the ability to retell that story with manipulatives and act it out. So, wonderful options here. Tracks in the snow and making those. Very fun. I love this. This is something we would do. What makes ice melt faster? So I would come up here even and add that here. What makes ice melt faster? So, excellent. Okay. So it just keeps going. Coaching strategies to dry. I'm going to pull from my textbook from that related chapter. Interactions or teacher roles to consider. So how can I get kids to retell stories? How can I deal with some of these new challenges that need to be supported? Those things are going to get addressed down here. All of this has come from our textbook and the emphasis that they've made to our textbook of activities and ways that we need to nurture the environment. The last step will be identifying early learning standards that match our unit map. Now, I recognize that this is going to take some time. I would say this should take you an hour to 2 hours at most, but not much more than that. Again, this isn't overwhelming detail. It's a map, it's a sketch. So try and limit yourself to an hour to get it done, but recognize you might want to be more realistic of an hour and a half. Once you submit, when you identify your standards, I'm sure you can identify 3 or 4 standards at each level. More is not always better. Instead, choose a standard that is specific and detailed and you can emphasize easily throughout and consistently and measured. And so just choose one standard per area. You don't need 3 or 4 in each area. We know we do more in a day, but when we only identify 1 or 2, it really allows us to focus and build on that in a natural way. Hopefully, I have helped you some in figuring out this assignment. If you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. You have also a detailed lesson plan that you're going to complete, and that is related to these areas. Tap into children's love of songs, drama and magical thinking, or the natural world. And then you're going to complete the communications and literacy journal. So do not hesitate to ask questions. Let me know what you need help with. Hopefully this video will help, and I will see you at the end of this module.